I'm heading off to Mexico in 8 days now, and a part of me preparing is to make sure that I'm safe whilst traveling. I've put together 11 safety tips to make sure that I'm safe whilst I'm traveling, and hopefully you guys can use them too. Number one would be to scan all copies of important documents. So passports, visas, itineraries, accommodation. This can be helpful if you get pulled up by customs. Sometimes they might want to know where you're staying, especially if you've got a work travel visa, or if you're on exchange. It's really important that you're able to prove that you're coming here to study, not to work, or vice versa. Number two would be register with Smart Traveller, which is a government program, and this is to make sure that if there is an emergency situation or evacuation status where you are, that you can become contactable, and so can your family as well, so everyone's kept in the loop. Number three would be to avoid public demonstrations and marches, so make sure that you stay away from big rallies or protests in the streets. Some places it could be quite political or religious, and you don't want to be caught up in some of that mess. A lot of the time there's a lot of violence, police get involved, and you don't want to be part of that, especially on a holiday. Number four would be to secure your money and your cards. So let your bank know that you are going overseas. Take note of your card numbers, scan them if you can, and make sure you have the phone number of your bank on hand. So if you do need to cancel your card, it's nice and quick, and you're not wasting time looking it up and finding internet. Also make sure that you don't keep your money and all your wallets and everything in your back pocket or in the front pocket of a backpack. You want to make sure that's nice and safe. Some people like those beautiful money belts and the ones that go around your neck. I'm not a big fan, so I have to bury mine in my bag. So number five is about locks. So choose wisely. I like to choose a combination lock over a key lock. I find that they're a bit more personal, you can't pick them as easy, and you can keep changing that combination if you feel like you need to. Also, another thing to look out for is make sure that they're TSA approved if you're travelling to the States, or through the States even, to make sure that customs can access them if they need be. It will reduce the potential for them to damage your bag and all of your bits and pieces inside. Number six for me is a pack lock, so something a little bit different. A pack lock or a cable lock is something that you can wrap your bag up and attach it to something stationary, so something like a pole or a bike rack or something like that. This is if you're really tired and you need to put your pack down for a minute, you don't want someone to nick it, or if you need to quickly run to the loo, it could be a really good way of keeping it nice and safe. Again, I would never advise you walking away from your bag, especially in an airport. Number seven is make a Google Doc spreadsheet or something similar where your friends and family can access it. Make sure you give them, an outline of your itinerary. They don't need to know your every movement, but an outline would be great. And give them your contact while you're over there. So if you're picking up a phone while you're over there or a SIM card, give them that number as well as some emergency contacts. So if you're at a host family or if you're staying at a hostel and you're there for a certain number of days, maybe give them that number. Or if you're doing an exchange program, I would always give them my course coordinator's details if possible. That way it's easy to get in contact with us. Number 8 would be leave your valuables locked up while you're out adventuring. So if you're staying at a hostel, try and make sure that you're staying at a hostel with secure locking areas, so lockers or a deposit box or something like that where you can keep all your bits and pieces safe. It's probably the worst thing realising that your phone's been taken out of your back pocket or your passport's gone. So I'd highly recommend trying to keep those valuable bits and pieces at home or at your hostel, wherever you're staying, to make sure it doesn't get taken off you. Number 10 would be make sure... So number 6 is a pack lock or a cable lock. So this is a great lock that can keep your pack safe and attached to something a bit more stationary. So I wrap my pack up or my suitcase up and then attach it to a pole. I know it's nice and secure and it's not going to go anywhere. It's really good if you're at a hostel or at accommodation that's shared and you want to make sure that your pack's safe, everything in it's pretty safe, and you can attach it to something quite strong. You can pick them up for about $40, $50 online, free delivery. I've attached the link in my blog post as well. So number 7 is make a Google document that your friends and family can access. Give them a bit of an outline of your itinerary. They don't need to know your every single movement, but an outline would be great if you're traveling from country to country. Maybe the dates that you're arriving and leaving. Also, your contact while you're over there. So, if you pick up an international SIM or a SIM from a certain country, try and add that to the spreadsheet as you go. The great thing about Google Docs is that they are live, so you can constantly update them and they'll get refreshed. I also would add any emergency contact details. I know the chance of an emergency might be small, but it's always nice to have a plan in action. Also, insurance documents and details. So if you've got a certain insurer that you're going through, make sure you've got that number really accessible as well for your family and friends. If you need help doing starting a claim or going through the process of claiming insurance, it'd be really great if they had all those details so they weren't left in the dark. And another thing is if you are doing uni or going on exchange or doing a program, make sure that those details are available as well. So I'm going to a university in Mexico, and on my spreadsheet I have the university's contact details as well as a unit coordinator to make sure that if something does happen back home or if I need a bit of help, those details are up there. Number 8 would be to lock your valuables in your accommodation if you're heading out. So I have to bring my laptop and a whole lot of uni stuff with me. I don't want to take that every time I walk out of the hostel or wherever we're staying. So we book our hotels and hostels with the thought of making sure that they have a locker or a safety deposit box to make sure everything's nice and safe. So I won't be taking my laptop with me. Number 9, we want to make sure that you blend in. So don't stick out like a sore thumb. Make sure that you don't look too touristy. You will be a target for everything from pickpocketing to selling you bits and pieces that you really don't want, upselling, making things more expensive. So try and blend in a little bit. Number 10 is to make sure that you stay a little bit alert and oriented. So half the fun of travel is getting lost, but you want to make sure that you stay alert to your surroundings and make sure you don't come too complacent with where you are. And who you're around as well. So no one wants to get pickpocketed and no one wants to get injured. So just make sure that you know where you're going or you have an idea of where you're going and that it's fairly safe for tourists when you're not a local and you're not going with locals. And number 11, my biggest one is make sure you have travel insurance no matter how healthy, fit and young you are. Accidents are called accidents for a reason, and you don't want to be left with a couple of $100,000 in medical bills or insurance claims from electronics or anything like that. You don't want that. Just make sure you're insured. Mexico is quite an expensive place to get insured for, and for the 6 weeks it only cost us a couple of $100. It's not that much when you think about it, and when you think of what you could be charged with in terms of injuries or illness. So they're my 11 tips. Hope you use them because I am. See ya.